Hey everyone, welcome to our fourth ever Glimesh staff meeting. Um, it is time to talk about what we're doing here. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up. We actually had to re-record this, which is okay. We'll kind of move through it. Um, but what we're going to cover tonight is two very important things. First off, we're going to cover our traditional staff meeting approach. So we're going to talk about wins, some challenges, some numbers, along with some roadmap statuses. But we're also going to turn it over to Paco, and he's going to discuss our community team and how we're approaching some of our moderation policies. So it should be a pretty eventful night tonight. As a reminder, if anyone wants to talk or give their input, we're going to be a little bit more strictly regulated this time, just because this is definitely an interesting topic. So as a reminder, make sure to uh, either get acknowledged to speak or hold your comments until the very end. If you want to talk, please message us in the staff meeting chat. And then, if you want to talk and there's not a clear gap, just send a message. Paco will help bring you to light. That'll help keep us on track. And then we'll also be doing a much stricter job about just moderating everyone as far as the discussion that we're having. We want to make sure that we're on the right topic. So thank you for everyone for kind of bearing with us here.
To that end, in the staff meeting chat, if you want to say something or have a question asked, if you would at me, please, at Paco1342, that would help me find those very easily. And also, please do not at me unless you are asking a question or want to say something.
Sounds good. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to cover our weekly metrics. So we kind of had a slow week last week, and that was mostly just across the board. It's coming to the point where we're virtually heads down most of the week, just coding away. At least I was. I don't know if Christoph was or not, but I was definitely heads down, keyboard typing, coding. I have a new ailment. My elbows are actually sore from resting on my desk, so I'm having to like rearrange my seating position just to make it more effective. But it just goes to show you how many lines of code we're pouring out in order to get the platform launched. So we're actually going to cover some feature updates that we've made in the past week. But before we do that, let's cover the weekly metrics. So like I said, we've been heads down. We actually didn't see as much growth as far as our social media and user count goes. We definitely had an increase, so we weren't losing any followers. Um, but you can see across the board, we're down from last week. We had about double these numbers last week. So some key highlights here is we are still growing in users on the platform. We have 234 new users on the platform. And last time I checked, we had 200 filled out profile pages, which is super exciting because that's one of our new features. And we don't have many features, so saying feature usage is good. On Discord, we grew about 49 people. Twitter was about 83. And then on Reddit, we actually only grew one person. So welcome, Steve. It's good to have you on board. On Instagram and Facebook, we've actually been trying to do a better job at posting those outlets and getting them the updates that they'd expect from our Twitter platform. And we grew about 6 on Instagram and 5 on Facebook. Any questions about the weekly metrics from anyone in chat or voice or anywhere? All right, cool. Well, what we will cover next is some wins that we had for last week. And last week was really awesome because only one of these I had anything to do with, really, which is really showing that the community is starting to really show their own and really start to make progress without requiring any input from me. And that's good because that helps us kind of execute in parallel. And last week, we signed up and started utilizing Buffer, which is a social media tool which helps us manage social media better. We actually were able to use that to cross post to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's a pretty neat tool. We've got a little bit to learn. We've started scheduling our posts, so we actually have the next week of posts scheduled on all of those platforms. That way we don't have to constantly touch them. And they've kind of started to really take off. I think what we'll have to learn here as we move forward is how do we target content for Instagram, versus Twitter versus Facebook. I think they're all kind of different demographic, and they all require something a little bit different. We also want to experiment more with video content, GIF content, and images, like we were talking about before. So we've got some of our helpful volunteer designers helping us create provocative imagery or videos or whatever it may be to help grow these a little bit more. Um, the next thing I want to talk about was something that I don't think anyone expected. So MJA busted his butt about 2 weeks ago to build and add a translation layer on top of Glimesh to actually make it so you can replace the text with other languages. And he was able to get that done and completed and pushed out. And I think within 10 minutes or so of actually being pushed out, we started to have people pour in to translate. I think almost immediately, Haiwa was already like doing Japanese and starting to translate and asking their friends, how they can translate these items better. We are started growing, and we actually saw amazing results last week. We actually have 100% Norwegian translation by DataGut already completed and on the platform. We've got 91% Japanese translation by Haiwa and Shikask, and then we have 60% of the French language done by Omnom Nam. We're looking for help in German, Spanish, and Vietnamese at the moment, but if your language is not on this list and you want it to be added, make sure you jump in and get with MJA, and he can help you get it added. We could have a comment here. I was not expecting Norwegian to be the first one translated. I don't know if anyone was, but DataGut was super passionate about it, and he wanted to see his language in there, and so he added it. And that's kind of the beauty of how open and collaborative we are. All right, the next thing to talk about is design. So we've been kind of all over the place with design. We've got a lot of different brand imagery. We've got a lot of different logo sizes and shapes, and sometimes our colors are not all the right colors. And for a designer, for your colors not to be the right colors is kind of like a coder's syntax to not be the correct way or to not compile. It just doesn't make sense. It's not good. And so Bubdrum and Carmi in the past week have taken it upon themselves to actually design us a brand style guideline, which can kind of help us make sure that we have a nice, friendly, mature, solid image every time we approach the market. And every time they see Glimesh, it's in the same color, it's in the same font, same spacing, or whatever it may be. So that's awesome, and that really unlocks other volunteers to be able to start contributing into our design assets. So thank you for that work, y'all. We have to get it more public. We have to finalize it, but once we do, that'll be kind of like a guiding light for all of our design work. We're getting some people in chat asking about Swedish. We can add Swedish, but you have to help translate. That's how we work here. Give a little, get a little. Some other cool things that we did last week was we actually had a moderation meeting last Friday that was hosted by Paco to get some commentary on our policies, terms of service, and other related items, and start to kind of form more of an opinion there. And I think we have some of that to share tonight. I also want to mention that our terms of service is being really taken on by Haiwa, who's one of our volunteers also. They're really trying to help us kind of understand some nuances, do some research in other platforms, and see our best approach for our terms of service. Now, at the end of the day, of course, we're going to have to support whatever makes sense for us to support legally, but we want to make sure that we're designing a terms of service that is very fair and it's very minimal. We want to keep it simple. The last thing to talk about is we actually got, as part of our feature work done, we got category support and stream title support done, which kind of was a big effort, but that's all been added to the platform now, and you can actually change your category, you can select the subcategory, you can change your title, and that gets us much, much closer to launch. So that's all I had for wins. Does anyone have any wins that I forgot? All right. Paco? Were you muted?
No, yeah, I was for a
Oh.
moment. Sorry, we got it. So, like Clone said, we had a meeting. It was a very basic meeting. We're just kind of just now getting into the meat of moderation and what that means for Glimesh. Um, So when it comes to rules and terms of service, all the rules that we choose are going to do two things. They're going to protect Glimesh and they're going to protect our users. That's the foremost thing when it comes to moderation for a platform. So we're like he said, Haywa is writing and rewriting the terms of service, and we have just been iterating on those like crazy recently. We're trying to make sure that we can protect everybody and still allow people the freedom to stream the things that they want to stream and do the things that they want to do. Um, Another thing that we've been talking about is something that I'm personally very excited about, and it's basically going to be a community team, kind of similar to if you used Mixer, if you ever interacted with the CAT team, the community action team. It's going to be a group of people that are there at the forefront to connect with and support the community. That's the main focus of that. Moderation is going to be a side effect of it. The biggest deal, though, is definitely going to be supporting the community. And that's the basics of it. Cat team was nice, Smitho. I was a big fan of the cat team. I dealt with them a lot.
Yeah, it's awesome, Paco. And we're gonna dive into that here in a couple minutes, right?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Cool. All right, so next up, what we'll do is we'll cover some challenges. This is important because this impacts our ability to launch or our ability to be successful. So there's two current challenges that are really kind of hurting us. Um, as the first one, I feel like a broken record at this point, but the US government has still not given us an EIN. That's not due to us in particular, that's just due to how the US is processing new legal documents right now. We have applied for our EIN about 5 weeks ago. We're definitely still waiting on that to come through. I reached out to Stripe, who is our payment provider, on Monday, and they said that they double checked, triple checked, and they're reaching out again, but um, it is still in progress.
It's just a waiting game at this point.
All right. Our next challenge is um, we have a lack of information around foreign tax and legal obligations. This is something that's definitely very much still a topic, but we're actually starting to learn more and more about our obligations and how we can deliver to additional countries. And one of the things we learned in the last week that is still very much in development, we're still trying to figure it out, but it looks like it's going to be much easier to support Canada and the United Kingdom on launch. So that would be along with the United States. We'd be able to give payouts to streamers. So that's still in progress. We're still working on that. There's still some more to learn. Excuse me, but it is starting to look good. All right, next, what I'll do is cover our roadmap status. So one thing to call out that Hayden just mentioned, he said that the video infrastructure is missing from the roadmap, and he's right. But my response there is that since you can't have a streaming site without video infrastructure, it's not a feature per se. It's a requirement, but also I maybe have ran out of room on my slide and I couldn't add it. So there's a lot more features here that aren't being shown. There's a lot more things that we're working on that aren't part of this list. And we have to make sure that everyone's kind of aware of what we are working on and what we are doing. So I'll make sure to call those out in the wins up above. But the big things to kind of get everyone up to date here, the big things is we've made a lot of progress across the board. What I did here in my awful illustration is I scribbled out the tasks that were completed already, so you'd be able to see kind of what the difference is. It's pretty hard to look at, but I'm not a designer, so what can I say? But we actually do officially now have channel subscriptions. So if you are currently a U.S. citizen and you're part of our development environment, meaning not the production website, you can actually set up a subscription to yourself. You can actually pay yourself on a recurring basis. We've got to work on the interface for being able to see who's subscribed to you and how much you're receiving. But for now, the actual payouts themselves are being handled by Stripe, so that's also done. As far as platform subscriptions go, you have the ability to subscribe to Glimesh now. Again, this is in development. It'll be live on the real site during launch. But we don't have any cosmetics ready yet. We don't have any banners or perks or avatars or emoji or whatever you might expect to get from a platform subscription. As far as moderation goes, we do have channel moderators completed. You can actually time out people, but we are still working on a way to add moderators to your channel. We're working on being able to remove moderators from your channel, being able to see who your moderator is banned from a channel, etc. We got reporting completed last week. The WebSocket API is still being defined. We're still researching the best approach for that. I know that's going to be very critical for launch, and we want to make sure we have a strong, friendly developer interface. That way, people can immediately start creating integrations for our platform. We were able to get chat emojis in maybe 2 weeks ago, and that adds the ability to put in, no, not that one, right, Frost? Not that one, not yet. It's not deployed yet. But we were able to add in basically your standard emoji set. So your happy faces, smiley faces, poop emoji, heart emoji, all those people are in there now. And then the next one we have to do is do custom emoji. So Paco Taco or the uwu or whatever is potentially going to be added. We'll have to get that added. I also want to make sure that we can use emoji across the board. So one of the things we'll look into also is adding emoji to your channel title or your profile or other various places on the site where you can put in text input. That way you can kind of always create that brand, always create that imagery, and keep that all aligned. All right, the next one we already talked about, internationalization. That one's really done. Like, it's a real internationalization framework. It is really set up to scale well. It's set up to have volunteers contribute. I'm really happy with that progress. That's probably the most completed feature at this point. And then the final thing to work on is email notifications. That way, whenever you go live, you'd be able to reach out to your followers. You'd be able to get account notifications or sub notifications or receipts or whatever else it may be. And we'll have to make sure we have a nice, beautiful email template in place also. That way it doesn't look like a spam email like it does today. So with that, that's our roadmap status. I was curious to see if anyone had any questions on our roadmap status.
There was one question earlier. Burrito said he likes the idea of the YouTube teaser, but my professional videos are on Vimeo. What if we could have a Vimeo teaser too with the option to choose where your teaser is located?
We can definitely add that as a suggestion. I think it's an interesting idea. We'd rather, I guess in the future, store the videos themselves. But for now, it is YouTube only. And we do produce our staff meeting videos on YouTube after they're aired. There's a question: are there any steps? Nope. Are there any stops for snacks on our roadmap journey? The snacks are the friends that we made along the way, right, Frost? So, just eat your friends. Any other questions? Let's see here.
Dan wanted to know if he said, speaking of the roadmap, I saw there's no two-factor authentication on there. Is that not a priority for you guys?
No, it's just done already. Two-factor is already in place. We actually had a volunteer add it maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and we already have it on our dev site. So as soon as we're ready to launch, we'll get that added in. And we'll figure out how to better communicate. I guess dev site versus live. That's just something we'll have to figure out. Maybe we switch to a different site, or who knows. We want to try and get these features out early. That way you all can test them, see if they're broken. But it does take a little bit to deploy some of these. All right.
Jack wants to know why a gray block popping up on the screen.
What is the gray block? Where? I don't see it.
I don't know. I think like it might just be a stream refresh or something going on.
It's like a stream artifact notification sometimes.
Burrito, it is TOTP. It's very basic right now. There's a lot more we can do, but since we're taking payments, we wanted to start with something simple, and then we'll add on as we progress. All right, well, chat, guess what? I'm on a terrible computer. I have no idea what the grade block is. Um, if anyone maybe wants to take a screenshot of it, we can maybe figure it out, but I'm not seeing it.
But the microphone sounds great.
It does it? Is it? Is it good?
Oh yeah.
Good. I'm talking like I'm an inch from it. Oh yeah, we need to add that to the wins. Let's go ahead and
Yeah. Put it on the wins.
clone.
Clone finally bought a real microphone.
It's only $70 too. It's
It's
got
got one from a used one from like a 1980s rock band.
no. It's got a pop filter, so I can say pop, pop.
Get rid of those plosives and sibilants.
All right, that's it for roadmap status. I think that's all the questions we had. So next up, I'm gonna hand it over to Paco. He'll cover a lot of our adventures through the Glimesh community team. And Paco, if you want me to present anything, let me know.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, there's everybody knows what moderation is. So that's not something I feel like it really needs to be discussed at length. But I will say that as we are working on our terms of service and all that stuff and keeping moderation in mind, and now's a good time to do it, we would like to reach out to the community and get feedback from you guys and find out the things that are important to you as far as moderation and rules. Specifically, I know we've talked about this before, the body art crowd. A lot of streaming sites are just frankly, they're pretty terrible to body painters. Um, and that's the kind of thing that we want to see how we can improve. So, if anybody, if you've got ideas about specific things regarding rules, moderation, terms of service, definitely let us know that. Talk to us about that. Um, And as far as the community team, I mean, that's also pretty straightforward. It's going to be a team comprised of volunteers for now that will be monitoring streams and channels on Glimesh once we're live, providing support, connecting with the community, you know, just being, the friendly neighborhood community team, pretty much. So if anybody has questions, that's probably the best way to learn more, just because, I mean, I don't know. I'm not all smooth like Clone. I don't prepare notes and slides and things.
I was muted on OBS. I think maybe what we want to do, we can give ourselves a frame of reference. Paco, do you mind if I share the, boy, one of your Google Docs? Let me figure out which one was the appropriate one.
I think they were all pinned in
Yeah.
there.
You want me to share this Glimesh community team one on the stream so people can see it?
Sure, absolutely.
And then we can kind of use that as like a conversational piece.
Yeah, that works for me.
And I think what Paco said before is very important. We're actually, one of the things we don't know yet is what we don't know about who we're underrepresenting on our platform. So Paco, of course, mentioned body art, body artists. And I think that there's more people out there that exist that feel infringed upon by terms of services unfairly. So it is important for um, anyone who feels like they're not being represented on a streaming platform, if there is something that you wish you could change or you wish you could do or wish you could have on a streaming platform as far as the terms of service goes that could better represent you and the work that you do and the content that you produce, definitely reach out to us. We talked about basically posting in the, I think it was, which channel do we want, Paco? Business?
Yeah, that's probably a good spot for it.
Yeah, so
Business or suggestions, depending on what it is, I guess.
yeah, I would say that what we're looking for right now is for volunteers who want to talk with us at length, especially around underrepresented areas. If that's you, if you're a body artist or you're someone who has been shut down from other platforms based on your political content or whatever it may be, definitely reach out to us in one of the channels. You can ping Hiwa Heiwa, and Paco. And we'd love to hear from you about your experiences because we really want to kind of help form our terms of service a little bit better. And then once we have something more concrete, we'll get that shared out too. That way, people can start to learn and experience it, and kind of deal with the change that it might have. Um,
Necron is very upset at how quiet I am, apparently.
is he quiet? I can hear him just fine. Oh, I see. I turned it way down. You want to talk
Sounds
again?
about right.
Well,
I get that a lot. Don't
All right.
worry.
Yeah, we should be exactly the same volume now. All right. Well, okay. Thanks everyone for waiting until 27 minutes in. Uh, all good.
To Necron's credit, I'm pretty sure he said something earlier.
I'm sorry, Necron. I ignored you. All
I
right.
just saw it and disregarded him.
All right. So, Paco, I pulled up the Glimesh community team. Do you want to
Yeah,
start
let me
with the
pull mine up
team
as
mission
well.
statement? I think it'd be
Yeah.
fun to read.
Yeah, go for it. If you want to read it, because I'm in the process of loading it right now and I can't read text that small.
Yeah, sure. I'll read it for you. Plus, I've got the mic, so unlike you,
Yeah,
Paco.
the good mic.
All right. So the Glimesh community team's mission statement. It's important to set a mission statement because it helps kind of lead the team. It helps lead the opinions of the team, and so the team's mission statement is to provide a safe, fair, and efficient streaming platform through consistent and positive community interactions. And I love this mission statement, and Paco wrote it, and I love it because it is eloquent and descriptive of what we're trying to accomplish here, while still being really, I think, a really powerful statement about how we believe Glimesh should be ran and how we believe our community should be empowered. Uh, so I really love it. Paco, how do you feel?
Um, I like it. I feel like it really does it gets right to the heart of what the community team is supposed to be about. I mean, and I specifically didn't say a single word about moderation in that because, like I said earlier, moderation is going to be a side effect of what we're doing. We are not like a like ruthless police force that goes around and punches people that violate the terms of service and drag them off with a band hammer. Like that's not the point, and that's not how you build an effective and happy community. Um, like the main thing we're going to be there. It's like the ideal of a police force is to serve and protect, and that's kind of what our role is going to be. Strong taco fist. That's right.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because that's kind of what we want to really empower on the platform, and I think it kind of goes back to what we've been talking about as far as administration of the platform goes. One of the things that we really have to learn as we continue to grow is what is the line between the platform and the community. Hopefully, there's not one, but where does that exist, and what are the differences between the two? Because we want to make sure that everyone finds Glimesh to be, you know, safe and fair, and hopefully it really empowers them to be better content creators. Now I think it's hard, right? Because there's a lot of humans at play here, right? And if you have any more than two humans in one room, they will fight eventually. And we're going to have a lot of that on the platform. We're going to have a lot of people who disagree, a lot of people who have differing opinions, a lot of people who believe that some things should be censored or shut down. There's going to be a lot of strong opinions and soft opinions, and we want to make sure we set almost from the very beginning is a strong community team that can help make that less ambiguous and more clear. Right? We want to make sure that we have fair and impartial disciplinary actions or terminations or bans or whatever it looks like. We want to make sure that given two situations with equal inputs, you get the same output, right? And that your beliefs or your gut feelings aren't taken into account, but instead what actually happened is taken into account. And that's why I really like what we're doing here. And so Paco's been kind of working through creating the Glimesh community team, creating what it means, and giving a really strong overview and purpose, along with detailing the duties that are associated with that role. And then what we have to do is, on the platform side, is we have to make sure that they're given the right tools to be able to moderate the community effectively. So they're given, moderation tools to shut down streams or shut down chatters. But at the same, at the same time, that we have audit logs of what they're doing and what decisions they're making, and that we have a paper trail along with why they're moderating that person, how they're moderating them. That way, we know very clearly what happened and why that action was taken. We have a comment here in chat. I'm going to try and read it. My biggest thing is admins, although they should be among the community and listen to feedback, have to be able to make decisions that may or may not universally be loved. Just communicate before things happen, like you have been, and you'll be fine. That's good. That's good to note. That's good to say. It's definitely hard, I think, to make decisions like that, or to make decisions at all, when you're given so many people, especially when sometimes you have to make decisions that aren't going to put you in a popular place. But as long as you're making those decisions with a clear framework in mind, that's how you get to sleep at night.
Enix said, in regards to non-U.S. residents and being correctly represented by Glimesh, as this has been one of the biggest issues with most platforms, and that's those across the pond, tend to get ignored over U.S. residents because of U.S. rules and laws. Is Glimesh going to be fully behind all of its streamers?
Yeah, so one of the challenges is the multitude of countries that exist. Uh, it's hard to say that we want to support a fair community, but that would also not be able to support all the countries at the same time in the same sentence. But unfortunately, that is the place that we are in. So long answer to say basically that it's going to be harder for us to support additional countries, especially while it's early. And those are one of the things that scale with people that we can hire, right? The more people we have, the more diverse employees we have, the better we're able to represent additional countries and help support them. Right now, since we are, purely volunteer, in fact, it's pay to enter for some. That's not true, but basically, it makes it hard to really get the right clear answers we need to support other countries. So what we are going to do is we are going to make it super easy to make Glimesh be comfortable in your country and native language. So as long as you're not in a country that is embargoed by the United States, we'd be able to support you. And for reference, those countries are generally North Korea, uh, Iran, those kind of countries where we're literally not allowed to have a presence there if we're selling or transacting goods. So as long as you're not in one of those countries, we can guarantee that you'll have the ability to be supported by our platform as far as your language goes. We'll make sure that we have translation options available for you, and that if you are so inclined, you can help us translate to your language. We'll make sure that you can watch streams, that you can stream yourself, and then once we get enough audience from your country, that we will seriously look into what it takes to support payments or payouts into your bank account in your country. That way you can hopefully make a living, right? Or hopefully you can make something off of the hard work that you do. But that is a very hard problem, and it's definitely hurt by the number of people we have because it takes serious dedication to look into it. So I have a question here. Along the lines of moderating channels, what is your plans regarding copyrighted music played on stream? So like any law-abiding company, we are required to be cognizant of what we are rebroadcasting on our platform. We do have a strict DMCA policy in place, and we will take down any streams that, or any audio segments or whatever the copyright owner is requesting to take down. We will take those down if we do get a notice. Now, you are allowed to have a counter notice saying that this is fair use or that this is your intellectual property or whatever it may be, and fight that back. But what we're working on doing is, A, we want to make it so that that is not a problem. We want to make it so that we partner with others who only broadcast music that you're allowed to use on your stream, services like Pretzel, or various 24/7 music streams that may exist on Glimesh. We want to support those streams. We want to recommend those streams to you. That way you can have music on your stream that isn't a burden or isn't a problem. So we want to kind of help you, give you the inverse. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
Can I ask one question?
Take two. You're extremely quiet.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep. Now you're extremely loud.
Oh, my bad.
Wait, before you ask your question, have you tried putting it in the chat yet? Because that's how literally everything else has been going.
Oh, I thought we. Okay, never mind then.
Put it in the chat and ping me. We'll get to it.
You're good, Cologne. You can continue.
All right. I think Burrito had a question. Let's see here. So Burrito said, um, will the subscription require us to file a tax form and give our social security number to Glimesh, or will it be more convenient like a PayPal payment? So as far as receiving payments goes, it will be verified with your. Okay, hold on. Sorry, let me take a step back here. So to give money on the platform, all you have to do is have a debit card or credit card in which you can use that you can prove you own. So that'll be easy. But as far as payouts go, payouts will be you will have to verify your identity and your bank account. And what we do is we actually utilize a service called Stripe that handles all of that for us. So Stripe is the largest payment processor, that's been created in the last 25 years, and has really written the book on how to handle this kind of data collection appropriately and securely. And so Stripe is extremely accredited as far as storing your data securely and safely, and all of that data that you share with us, all that data that you share is only shared with Stripe and not at all shared with Glimesh. So it does ask for your social. I do actually think it's only the last four of your social, not your full, but it does require your bank account or a direct debit card or or if you have a company representing your stream, you can set it up through your company instead and through an EIN instead of your social directly. I do think that maybe what we're doing tonight, so we wanted to cover some of this community team work. We wanted to show it off and make sure that people know that it exists and that we want to start really recruiting opinions and support for it. This is a very hard topic, terms of service, rules, and we want to make sure that we're building it efficiently, but also fairly. Hiwa's been working really, really hard on this, and the work approach has almost been like, here's a statement. Oh no, we don't like this, and this. Here's a statement. We don't like this, and this. Here's a statement. And so it is a very fun cycle that we're going through to try and create the best possible terms of service and the best possible rule set. And it is very hard. So I want to remind everyone that we do need your input, especially if you're underrepresented in the streaming communities. That'll help us make sure that we're building the right terms of service. As we have something a little bit more solid, we'll be sharing that with the community for feedback, but it will be harder to change some of these items. So we need to make sure we have that ahead of time. I wanted to kind of, wrap us up here a little bit. We don't really have too much to cover tonight. We're basically 20 minutes early from finishing, and like I said before, our heads are in the sand right now with the work on the platform, and we're just super involved, on the day-to-day right now. So we don't have too much to discuss here. So what I want to make sure we do now is what we'll do is we'll clip the recording, we'll stop it here, and then we'll do basically questions and answers, since there seems to be a lot of questions right now, and I want to make sure we're constantly communicating with everyone. So if there's anything else to be said on the Glimesh community team, speak now or forever hold your pizza.
I do have one thing to add.
Go for it.
Obviously, it's something that's still being worked on. It's very early, doing a lot of iteration on it. It will be something that I want to at least have a solid foundation in at launch, because we're going to have that. And to that end, as soon as I can, I don't have a time frame yet, but I will be releasing a little more information, and I'm going to have a brief, call it an application, that people interested in joining the community team as volunteers can fill out
Oh, do we want to link that now or later, Paco?
later.
Okay.
Definitely not ready yet.
All right. Cool. So once we have that, we'll tweet it out. We'll send it everywhere. It'll be in your postal mailbox. All right. Anything else? If not, I'm just gonna. Yeah, is it about the community team?
The community team representing like moderators, right?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
global
Yeah,
moderators.
yeah. That was my initial question. Um, I was gonna ask, should moderators be respected and treated as like administrators?
What does that mean?
Like in what sense? What do you mean?
Like in the sense of like you have moderators usually just moderate. They don't really. They may have the ability to kick and stuff, but administrators are the one that have the capability of taking action. So that's what I'm trying to get a sense of is as a moderator, are you just moderating situations and not taking any action if necessary, or are you considered an admin?
Uh, I'm not exactly sure how to answer the question. As far as the entirety of the community goes, I'm not sure yet. There are going to be select people, without a doubt, that have the ability to action, but I also want to reiterate that moderation is not the concern, or should I say, the main concern of the community team. It's not a assault force that goes around looking for bad guys. That's not the point of it. The whole thing is to support and protect the community. Moderation is a side effect of that.
Right, and that's detailed in the first little tidbit here with global moderation. You know, it's really about the global moderation team exists to help maintain the community and culture that we have as a streaming platform, not to do your mod's job for them. So if you have chatters who are being inappropriate or indecent or violating any of your rules or our rules, we need you to take care of that. If there's a stream who's violating our rules, then that becomes a different problem. And we'll rely both on our community team and administrators, staff members, whatever it is, to help enforce those rules. If it's anything that's payments related or security related, of course we'll handle that at a staff level, just to make sure we're doing the right things. But I think for me, the community team is all about, like, the community team is a friendly force of people who have your best interests in mind and whose only goal is to see you succeed on the platform, more than come in and delete some messages.
Yeah, and I think it's also um, useful to point out that they will be a more direct, like, point of access if you need help with some, like, in some situation or with some resources. Like, if you have a question and you're not sure where to go or who to ask it, you can talk to a community team member, and they can either help you out or they can point you towards the place that can help you out.
Does that help you? Take two?
A little bit, yeah.
All right, awesome. Any other questions related to the community team? All right. Thanks everyone for a great community meeting tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, and then we'll do questions and answers for the rest of the time. I'll continue streaming too. So, thanks everyone.